You have to walk around a sculpture of this size in order for all the sides of it to sort of coalesce. Sculpture, and especially works that are operating on this kind of scale, like, you know, they have a kind of physicality to them that's not unlike a mountain, you know, like a picture of a mountain and a mountain are very different things. That's the sort of ineffable thing for me about sculpture. Literally, it's being installed basically before our very eyes. So there's a radical amount of new information that will be gathered over the next days, weeks, months, right? So there's things that I'm seeing in it now that I have not noticed before. It's a piece that had a previous life at Alcatraz as part of an exhibition there, and that relates to its content, right? It's a kind of about freedom in a certain sense. Relationship between freedom and imprisonment, for sure, right? The liberal arts education, right? Liberal stemming from the notion of freedom, what it means to be free. So, you know, yeah, I think it necessarily conjures its opposite. Who is this Ai Weiwei character? I mean, he's been a figure in contemporary art for, you know, like most recently, probably the last decade, he's been on kind of everyone's radar as someone who's doing things sort of against the grain in China, which is not an easy feat. He is a kind of jack of all trades when it comes to what he does. So he's not a sculptor necessarily just exclusively. He's worked in architecture. He's done many large materially based objects, not unlike this one. But his practice is photographic, it's performative. It, of course, now involves a lot of social media. That's where he gets to articulate his concern for social justice issues in China. You know, some of them around censorship, some of them just around general humane concerns. It's a pretty big deal. This is not something that we have a budget for, so it's just by virtue of the friendships and the generosity of Mark Anderson and his kind of undying devotion and support of Whitman that these things happen. I think that that's true for several of the sculptures, but this, I think, definitely is taking it to another level. You know, I get to play with this for the next year as a conversation piece in my classes. So, I mean, I'm already thinking about, you know, the first night of my senior seminar class. Like, this will be the conversation piece, right? But like, it doesn't end there. We will continue to see this piece through the lens of everything that we read, of everything that they make. So, I mean, I think it's that rich, right? Like, it's that powerful of a work, and the temporal aspect of it is, I think, what's most powerful. Like, I get to experience it, and along with the students and the rest of the community, through time. You know, you read sculpture with your body, right? I mean, you physically have to kind of measure it, come to terms with it, dance with it a little bit. As you're walking around it, you're seeing it fully as an object, but in doing that, your brain is kind of working in these divergent ways, and it's going in all these different directions, and you're trying to think about what solar panels mean in Tibet, and teapots, tea kettles. What's their cultural significance? What's the meaning of steel, right? How does it dialogue with all the other sculptures on campus that are made of metal as well? You know, what is the meaning of metal? So that is a kind of a diversification of the meaning that is just going to happen over time, and that you don't get to have, you know, when you go into a museum and you spend 15 seconds looking at a piece of work, which is kind of the average, or that would be a long time spent with each work of art in a museum. So that's what's really unique, I think.